He-Man and BattleCat. Very iconic. Probably the most iconic thing about Masters of the Universe. Maybe Castle Grayskull. But yeah, this was a major goal, and this was a major visual. This is Scott ToyGuru Neitlich. Welcome to another Director's Commentary, and yep, as you noted, this is the Director's Commentary for Masters of the Universe Classics on BattleCat. And whether you like BattleCat in his filmation mode, or the many beautiful vintage artwork that was commissioned by Mattel for posters, or some of the non-commissioned art that was actually bought by Mattel. This piece was bought by Mattel and hung in their design center. This piece, not so much, but still, hey, BattleCat seems to inspire a lot of art and even a lot of parody. Because, like He-Man, BattleCat is part of pop culture. He has really sort of lifted himself above almost every other character in the line. He-Man and BattleCat. It's just one of those things. It's like Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, or just he's the transportation that just goes with this character. And no matter what toy line, whether it's 2000X or Reaction or the Funko Pop I showed in the beginning, BattleCat and He-Man tend to go hand in hand. And of course, couldn't talk about BattleCat with at least a little bit of a mention of Panther, because he's kind of the evil twin of BattleCat. I mean, he's not an evil twin, but he was the corresponding evil cat from the vintage line that was, notoriously Skeletor's mount. And much like, although I don't know, I mean, Skeletor on Panther, while it's very iconic, even looking at him compared to He-Man on BattleCat, He-Man on BattleCat is just like so just part of pop culture. Not saying Panther isn't cool, and we'll talk about Panther when we get to him, especially because he used a lot of BattleCat pieces. But yeah, BattleCat is definitely an A-lister. I mean, more recognizable, I think, than even sometimes Teela or Man-at-Arms by the majority of culture. If you show them a picture of BattleCat, people immediately say, "Oh, He-Man," versus even main characters like Beastman or Stratos. A lot of times, just the regular public. I'm not talking about the super fans like the ones watching this video, like you or me. But yeah, BattleCat, he's great, and he required a brand new package. We had to create a Beast package for BattleCat, which we just used the basic concept of the Grayskull Gray and extended it for his width there. He looks great with or without armor. I mean, honestly, BattleCat, I think, is one of the best figures in all of Classics. He just came out so well. And to properly talk about BattleCat, it's definitely important to look back at the origins of the line and some of the original concept art that was done for it. So, obviously both He-Man and Skeletor had original concept art. Here's Skeletor when he was called D-Man or Demon Man, as a corresponding to He-Man. Original concept art for Castle Grayskull, created around the same time when it was known as the Well of Souls. And it was thought that besides people, it would be great to populate this new fantasy world with animals. And to do this, the Mattel designers looked at some previous lines to see what animals might be available. For example, there was a gorilla available, and how would a gorilla look if he was reimagined in the Masters of the Universe world? Now, the animals were definitely out of scale to the people, especially some of the cats, but I think that this was resolved very quickly because the designers had spent the last 2 years working on a Kirby Fourth World toy line that never happened. You can see the video link here for more about that. And in Kirby's Fourth World, there were humans riding on giant dogs and cats and that kind of thing. So I think that this visual, I don't obviously have proof of this, but we do know historically they were working on this line, and I know from working at Mattel, things don't really get tossed out, baby with the bathwater. things tend to get reused and recycled a lot. Meaning, if something was developed one year and it never really caught on or it didn't fit in, whether it's a figure idea or an action feature, those things tend to get recycled in the next year because design put a lot of work into it, and they tend to want to find a way to fit that in. So all of the work and all of the research done for the Jack Kirby Fourth World line that never happened definitely subconsciously drove the artistic aesthetic of Masters of the Universe. Again, you can check out the full Jack Kirby video, but I definitely think this type of visual of humans riding cats was part of the inspiration for He-Man riding on BattleCat. So again, looking at past lines, Mattel was able to see, what kind of animals they had in their, call it, tooling library, meaning animals that were already ready and available that could just be redecoed. So things like the Tarzan and Big Jim gorilla, things like the eagle from the Big Jim camping adventure set, which we know the eagle went on to become both Zor and Screech. And again, this was very common to sort of take pre-existing tools and repurpose them. So in the case of BattleCat, his first appearance was in this Tarzan adventure set. He was scaled for a 12-inch figure. This came out in the early 70s, and the cat was cast in all black as a panther, not panther. And then later in the late 70s, reused again in the Big Jim on the Tiger Trail set, because, putting tigers in metal cages and hunting them is really awesome for kids and so aspirational. Boy, times have really changed, haven't they? It's kind of funny. So, yeah, that was basically the origin of the mold. So it got reused over and over again in different Mattel lines until eventually becoming both BattleCat and Panther. And was simply just redecoed, so reimagined as what would a fantasy cat look like, taking the striped tiger and turning it green with red armor. And bam, that's a fantasy cat. Now you can take an existing tool and turn it into something really cool that works in the world of Masters of the Universe. And that was really kind of what the origins of the line were all about. Now for classics, BattleCat gave us our first beast, if you will, beast of burden. We would later go on to use the BattleCat buck, meaning the basic body, for other characters like the Griffin, and even King Grayskull's mount, Battle Lion, who I don't think was ever named in the show, but I think Battle Lion was what fans were calling him, and hey, it worked, so I think we just kind of picked up on that. I don't remember there ever being like an official Battle Lion bio or call-out. Now, what was actually kind of neat about Battle Lion, and I'll get more into this when we get to Battle Lion in the future, besides the fact that he was able to reuse, obviously, a lot of BattleCat's body, which, BattleCat was a fully tooled figure and a large figure, larger than a basic figure, so used up a lot of tooling. So, but, we knew that BattleCat was absolutely a tool-worthy figure because, you can't have a Masters of the Universe line without BattleCat. It's just, it can't be done. But, anyway, back to the Battle Lion. The armor that came with Battle Lion was actually designed purposefully to help recreate the 2000X look. So you could take the armor from Battle Lion and put it on BattleCat, and then you had kind of a 2000X style BattleCat, complete with the sort of paw armor and the modified helmet and saddle. So that was kind of neat. One beast that we didn't get to was Clawdeen. For those of you who may not recognize this, this is from the vintage Princess of Power line. Clawdeen was the Swiftwind for Catra, like the mount for Catra, like Panther for Skeletor. So Catra was going to ride around on this pink lion, and it came out in the toy line and was in the show. It's totally legit, and it definitely would have used the BattleCat buck. But like a lot of things, it was just kind of a bridge too far. We just couldn't get to this pink lion. Although I definitely regret it because it would have been awesome. This is maybe what Clawdeen might have looked like. This is a fan custom using Battle Lion. But yeah, that would a giant pink lion would have been really awesome. And maybe we would have had to redo the eyes or the smile a little bit to make her more smiley, because the the original toy was very smiley. All right, speaking of borrowing toys for other lines, I should also mention that BattleCat was sort of hijacked into a Max Steel pack. Normally, when another brand borrows a tool to use, kind of the unwritten rule is to ask permission of the brand manager of that tool. And I will definitely go on record and say I was never asked about this. It just showed up, and I was a little surprised and kind of a little shocked because MOTUC Classics was a collector line. It was supposed to be a high-end collector line. So taking our tool and putting it in a basic kid line on shelf, wasn't too happy with that. You know, it is an unwritten rule, but hey, the brand manager who did this eventually wound up having to leave Mattel because apparently he was selling Mattel product on eBay while at Mattel, which you're not supposed to do. You have to wait till you leave Mattel to sell stuff. All right, so that little snafu behind us. Cringer should probably be spoken about too. We did a Cringer figure, which you can see in scale to BattleCat was smaller, maybe almost a little bit too small. So I think we even called this like Baby Cringer. I don't know if we called that. I don't think we called that out on the bio, but we talked about it like in some of the PR. It was because it had to be scaled to fit with Queen Marlena in the package for Comic-Con. And I've even seen people sort of reimagine what Panther would look like if flocked from using the Cringer tool. But we did have plans to do a new Cringer. So part of the idea for the Filmation series was Cringer was going to be the fully tooled figure for the year. And that was going to also give fans a Cringer that was more in scale, was fully articulated, and would work with classics. But after I left, the new team, I think, just moved things around a little bit. Probably eliminated the more tooling-intensive figures, which is understandable. Those are the first to get cut anytime a new team takes over. So that's pretty much BattleCat. And he also became a gift that Mattel gave to a lot of the filmmakers that were working on the toy line. They would give him a He-Man and BattleCat. We had a whole bunch of sort of sets ready to go because what a great way to get inspired, getting a He-Man and BattleCat in the mail. That sure gets you inspired to write scripts and work on movie concepts. So that was really cool. I enjoyed having those ready to go every time someone asked me to send one out, which happened quite a lot. And that's BattleCat. And that's He-Man on BattleCat. The gift that just keeps on giving. I smile every time I see this combination on my shelf. He looks awesome.